Okay, here we are. I'm going to turn the time over to Colette Perkins, who is, I would say, one of the most valuable assets in my team.
Okay. Should I just start? I don't know how this is going to work, so I'm just going to go for it here. So we're going to do a little bit about living in light and higher frequency today. I want to start with A Course in Miracles. I teach that on Mondays at 1,000,000 at 1. And I love this quote. There is a light in you which cannot die, whose presence is so holy that the world is sanctified because of you. The light in you is what the universe longs to behold. The light you carry is your own. Today, let doubting cease. God speaks for you in answering your questions with these words. I walk with God in perfect holiness. I light the world. I light my mind and all the minds which God created one with me. And I love this because we are the light and we get to carry that light wherever we go. And the problem is that we've hidden that light within us. And sometimes it's hard for us to see it because it's been so covered up and hidden, but it is there. So we're going to talk a little bit about a frequency and what a frequency is. And frequency is all about vibration, how fast or slow a vibration is going. But I'd like to introduce the thought that maybe a frequency is a mood, how you're feeling. The ups and downs of our mood creates how we feel. By changing the picture, we can have a pattern interrupt and the picture changes even though some of the things stay the same. And I love the opportunity to interrupt our patterns. I want you to recognize that most of us received our patterns by the time we were 8 years old. And if we don't become aware of those patterns, we will be running on an 8-year-old. And I want you to envision an 8-year-old and the patterns that they run on, and that we sometimes do the very same thing. So this map of consciousness, one of my favorite things David R. Hawkins has done is put this together. Here we see the names of the levels. Guess what? They all consist of moods. Then we have the frequency that they sit at, and then what those names of levels are associated with. And what I want you to notice is where the arrow is at courage at the top of the yellow. When we step into courage, we are able to move forward. That is a symbol that I am ready to move. That doesn't mean I still don't have a little fear. It doesn't mean that some of those other emotions aren't still sitting there, but I'm ready to step out of them. I'm ready to take the courage to do that. And so that 200 level is just that great point where we get to step forward and move on. And I love the movie Inside Out, because it talks about how sadness and happiness come together, sadness and joy. They become great friends. And guess what? We need that in our own lives. We need to be friends with sadness and with happiness and stop calling them negative or positive. They just are. And we need to be aware of them and what we do with them. But they're neither bad nor good. It's like this battery. It needs a negative and a positive side in order for it to work. So I love this equation. Emotion plus thoughts equals action and, I can't see my, and words. That's what I thought it said. I had to move my people out of the way so I could read it. Emotions plus thoughts equals actions and words. So guess what? If we come and start being aware of our emotions, our moods, our frequency, then we now have the power to control our reactions, and we can stay in that place. Now, if I miss the emotion and I catch the thought, I still can change it. But if I can start with the emotion and say, I'm feeling sad today, but I'm not going to react towards someone else in a negative way because of how I'm feeling. And when I'm just aware of how I'm feeling, it helps me react in a more positive way. So then we have these false beliefs. And as I talked about earlier, by the time we're 8 years old, we've been programmed, just like a computer is programmed. We understand how it works and what we're supposed to be and do and what everyone expects of us. And so those programs will hold us in our fears. And so if we can recognize what those are, so I have a really good example of that. When I was in elementary school, I really struggled with math and reading, and I just thought I was dumb and unable to do those things. It took me clear until I was in my 30s when I started working at an elementary school as a math aide, which I had told the principal that when I interviewed that the math was not something I could do. I could not help with math. But he was a really wise man, and he called me in and he said, you can do this, because what you're going to do is you're going to sit in the classroom with these students and you're going to learn with them, and then you'll take a small group out in the hall and help them to understand what they just learned. And I thought, okay, I can probably do that. Well, the really cool thing about it was I found holes in my math, and I learned more in that fourth grade classroom than I think the students did, because I was able to recognize my holes in my programming, and I was able to reprogram those holes and fix them. And that's how we correct a false belief. We recognize something that isn't true and we fix it. So the next thing that I want to open up to you is a book that Christine wrote called Love Solve. And we're going to talk about some of the things in this book. So we're going to talk about the negative well. Now, the negative well I love because it starts at the top with anger, rage, frustration, and resentment. And as we look at those emotions, we can say, okay, so why am I angry? And then I can look a little bit more and I can say, because I was hurt. So that puts me into the next level of the well. It's like pulling that weed out of the ground. I can just cut the top off, which is what anger would do. I can start digging a little deeper and get part of the root. Or now I can say, okay, so I'm angry and I've been hurt, but what comes next? What is deeper than the hurt? Maybe it's the fear that if I'll just be hurt again because I've been hurt before. And so then I dig a little deeper and I go, well, gee, I'm really embarrassed that this all happened. So now I'm at the very bottom of the well and I've got the whole root of the plant, and I can pull the whole thing out. And every time I pull that root out, it gets so that it won't come back. And I love the opportunity to be able to do that. So then we come to the positive well. This time we're already at the bottom of the well. We've already recognized where we're at. And I love the story of the donkey and the farmer. I don't know if you've heard this story before, but there was this donkey and he fell in the well. And the farmers looked down, he saw him way down there and thought, there's no way I can get you out of there. So I'm just going to bury you in the well. And so he goes and gets his dirt and he starts putting the dirt in the well. Well, this donkey was pretty smart. And he says, well, I don't want to be buried in this well. So as the dirt came down and landed on him, he'd shake it off and stomp it down. And over time, the donkey was able to stomp down enough dirt that he actually rose up and out of the well. And I love this analogy to what we get to do here. So the first thing I get to do is take responsibility. Take responsibility for how I'm feeling. And then I get to forgive myself and have some empathy for me. And then I get to figure out, maybe this wasn't so bad. Maybe there's some things in this that I can be grateful for. And I can have some acceptance for what's happened. And last but not least, I can have some love and enthusiasm for letting this go and getting on top of it and not allowing it to keep me down. So I'm so grateful that Christine has put these wells together so that we can kind of understand where we need to go. The other thing I love about these wells is the fact that they fit so well with Ho'oponopono. So responsibility, I'm sorry. Empathy and forgiveness, please forgive me. Gratitude and acceptance, thank you. Emphasis and love, enthusiasm and love. I love you. So there's the 4 phrases right here in the well. And I love that she has done that. And I love to do this Ho'oponopono writing process. So what I'd like you to do is think about a trigger that might be affecting you right now. Something that has triggered you, maybe even just this morning or earlier today, or maybe even yesterday, something that just kind of got under your skin. What I want you to do in print is write, I am sorry. Why? Why would you be sorry? So I'm going to give you a minute to write that down. Why am I sorry? And I want you to print that.
Now consider who you need to forgive or who you'd like to have forgive you.
Now I want you to do, I love you. Why is that so important that you recognize that you love yourself first, and then that you love God, and then that you love whoever might have hurt you? The scriptures tell us to love our enemies and to pray for them. Why would that matter? And why would that make a difference in your healing process? And then last but not least, I want you to think. Think for the experience. Think for the opportunity to be a part of this. And as you write all of these things down in print, I want you to recognize that this is your lower self talking to you. This is a self that is unsure, the self that doesn't know which way it wants to go or what direction it may need to be in. And then after you finish all of this, the best part is now you get to write in cursive. And as you write in cursive, I want you to get really in tune with the higher you, with the one part of you that wants to be better than you are today. And as you get in touch with her or him, you will write things that you never even dreamed of. You will have a vision of something that you don't really understand, but I know is true, because your higher self is really a letter from God telling you that you matter, that you're making a difference. And yes, Sometimes we fall down, but that's why we need this process.
Pause the recording and write for as long as you need.
So I hope you'll take the time to walk through this process and to really feel the importance of it and to know that you matter. I hope your week goes great and you have a great day. Thank you for letting me present today.
Thank you. That is always so awesome to be able to do this deeper work with ourselves. And I think a lot of times we just don't take the time and sit down and do it. And so having this prompt, I mean, it's huge to be able to just sit and process this together. So I know before you've kind of helped use also EFT.
Yes. And I figured we could stop the slide share and do some EFT.
Yes, let's do that. Okay, that'll be awesome. Okay, so let's talk about the 3 ways that you could experience an EFT session or get the parts of the EFT that can help you shift emotional stuckness. So one is to join our membership community. For even $27 a month, you can get involved in high frequency wealth. And we meet at least monthly, if not every other week, to support frequency shifts and get out of scarcity patterning using tools like EFT. The other way would be to schedule an individual session with an EFT practitioner like Colette. And those are very inexpensive, and you can do a package where you can get multiple sessions so that you can really work through some stuff that needs to be out of your way. And the third way is to attend liberation training, which will be held typically within the next month. You can get a look at what liberation includes and then fill out the registration form just to kind of pick a date and clarify what it is that you want to get out of that training. So I look forward to seeing you either in the community or hearing good news about your success in some way or form. So get your copy of the Love Solve method so that you can get started on working through those emotional wells, and find a way to use EFT to make that process more complete and more impactful. It's such an amazing feeling when something that you've dealt with for years, decades even, is gone. And that's what this technique can do.